In her first campaign appearance since the gun grabber-in-chief decided to step down, Kamala Harris seems desperate to one-up Biden, immediately calling for enactment of gun confiscation laws, universal registration, and a ban on commonly owned firearms.
We'll finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Is it possible that Kamala could be worse than Biden? Just look at the smile her candidacy puts on Chuck, please clap, Schumer's face.
So now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to.
Yeah, Kamala's gonna be awful. So today, we're gonna take a look at exactly why that is. Hi, I'm Ben, and you're watching the Minuteman Moment. Now, before we get into the video, I wanted to take a second to talk about GOA's first annual convention, Goals. The Gun Owners Advocacy and Leadership Summit will be in Knoxville, Tennessee this August 17th and 18th. Be sure to come see some of your favorite brands like Brownells, PSA, and more, while also meeting influencers like Clint Morgan, Johnny B, and Mr. Guns and Gear. Plus, there'll be fun for the whole family. I'll see you there. Okay, now back to the video. To diagnose exactly how bad a Kamala Harris presidency could be for gun owners, we have to go back to the very beginning, when she was the district attorney for San Francisco in 2004. During that time, she pushed for increased penalties for concealed carrying and charged anyone breaking California's assault weapon ban with a felony. Now, there might be some of you in the comments saying that this is just tough on crime. But remember, with California not allowing concealed carry and banning AR-15s, any one of us could be considered a dangerous criminal in her eyes. Not exactly a fair comparison, huh? And it gets even better. During Kamala's time as the Attorney General of California, she not only continued her endorsement of an assault weapons ban, bragging about confiscating 10,000 guns under her leadership.
The Department of Justice under my leadership has taken almost 10,000 guns out of the hands of people who were legally prohibited from having them.
But she also wanted to close the bullet button loophole. If you've never heard of this kind of tyranny before, the bullet button was the California compliant part that prevents the user from ejecting a magazine without first breaking the gun open. You couldn't own an AR-15 with any neat features unless you neutered your firearm with this bullet button. Apparently, that was too much freedom for West Coast gun owners, according to Kamala. Also, while she was an AG for California, Kamala signed on to an amicus brief against the Supreme Court case DC v. Heller. You know, the one where SCOTUS decided that the Second Amendment is an individual right and that there can't be blanket bans on firearms? Well, guess who argued the exact opposite of that, saying things like, the Second Amendment only provides for militia-related right to bear arms. And because of handguns, firearm laws allowed for the prohibiting of carrying of concealed weapons and sale of weapons. She, along with the other AGs on this brief, argued against your right to concealed carry and even own a handgun. With Kamala's meteoric rise from state AG to the Senate, it seems like her two-way stance continues to worsen. In her 6 years in the Senate, she endorsed 21 anti-gun bills. We went through all of them, but since there's so many, let me just group them into categories for you. She endorsed 3 bills to ban 3D printed firearms, probably because she's scared of print, shoot, repeat. She tried to weaponize domestic violence funding against gun owners 4 times, because writing a clean bill to help people would be a waste of political capital. She continued her endorsement of the assault weapons ban twice. I guess some people just don't know when to quit. She endorsed Gold Bar Bob Menendez's anti-standard capacity magazine bill twice, although I doubt she had to be gifted any precious metals to sign onto them. She endorsed 2 separate gun confiscation order bills because as a prosecutor, it doesn't seem like the 2nd, 4th, 5th, or even 6th amendments seem to really matter to her at all. She endorsed 3 anti-gun dealer bills, the Keeping Gun Dealers Honest Act and the Fix NICS Acts, both of which are massive infringements on our Second Amendment right and would have created an increased burden on FFLs everywhere. She supported 3 universal background check bills because her time in California as a prosecutor and attorney general really showed that criminals will obey all gun laws. Kamala also endorsed a bill that would have allowed the ATF to release to the public firearms records and reduce protections for FFLs. And finally, she endorsed a bill called the Automatic Gunfire Prevention Act, which would have banned bump stocks, trigger cranks, and even triggers that let you shoot faster. I wonder if my trigger finger is fast enough to get banned under this bill. To round it all off, she ascended to the vice presidency, where she runs the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And she's done about as much there as she's done for the border. That is to say, nothing at all.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
In fact, Kamala's open border policy and inaction has led to countless heinous criminal acts, which she of course has used to justify restricting your Second Amendment rights. But as vice president over the past 4 years, she's just as responsible as Joe Biden for all the unconstitutional ATF rules, like pistol braces, ghost guns, expanding ATF's billion record gun registry by mandating permanent storage of Form 4473s, and the Biden-Harris admin's zero tolerance policy for gun dealers, which has been shutting down shops left and right. Here's a few other things that the Biden-Harris administration is responsible for, in case you forgot. Censoring pro-gun stats from CDC, weaponizing CDC funds to promote gun control like firearm retirement for senior citizens, letting the Surgeon General declare the two-way a public health crisis, disarming veterans who needed fiduciaries, reauthorizing the Undetectable Firearms Act, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Acts, including mandatory wait times for 18 to 20-year-old adults, expanding the misdemeanor gun ban, engage in the business and universal background checks. Finally, if you need any other indication that Harris might surpass Joe Biden as being the most anti-gun administration in history, her candidacy was immediately endorsed by all notable anti-gun groups, including Everytown, March for Our Lives, Mom Demand Action, Giffords, Newtown, Brady, and Students Demand Action.
We did it, Joe.
Gun owners need to register to vote in November so that we can all prevent the anti-gun czar from becoming the anti-gun commander-in-chief. Now thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with GOA's latest fights for your rights.